Good morning, fourth grade. It's Mrs. Evans here. I hope you're having a terrific Tuesday and you're all ready to go for math today. Yesterday, we started learning about geometry. Do you remember what geometry means? Geometry means to measure the earth. And we talked about a lot of different things yesterday. Remember what we talked about with this? What was that called? The little dot? It was called a point. There it is, a point. If you have 2 points that are connected together, we call that a line segment. We also learned that a line goes on and on and on and on in each direction. And if you have 2 lines that never cross and they're the same distance apart, they are called parallel lines. Once you have 2 lines that cross, we say that they are intersecting lines. They have crossed right there. This is a ray. It is a ray because it has a starting point, but no ending point. It goes on and on and on in one direction. Yesterday, we also talked about what congruent means. Congruent means the same shape and the same size. This is an example of congruent angles because these are 2 angles that are exactly the same shape, exactly the same size. Yesterday, we also learned about perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines are perfect because they cross right at the point where they make an L or a right angle. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 right angles that we see here. Today, we're going to talk about what makes a simple closed shape. That's one of the many things that we're going to be talking about today. A simple closed shape has no points of intersection. There's not a single time where the lines are going to cross. It's also closed. There's no openings or gaps. Now, I have some special things that I am so excited to share with you today because it's kind of like show and tell. Now, I know that when I'm talking to my fantastic fourth graders, there might be some other folks that are watching. As a matter of fact, I bet my sweet mama in Mississippi might be watching this morning. Good morning, Mama. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Mom, I actually have some things that you used to use in your classroom a long time ago. So, fourth graders, are you ready to see what I have to share with you today? Okay, let's get started. We're talking about geometric shapes, all different kinds of shapes today. So, ready or not, here we go. Now, I won't have a show and tell for every single flashcard, but I do have some for many, and I can't wait to show them to you. Well, the first thing that we're going to talk about is, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but if we have 2 items that are the same shape, but if they're different sizes, we say that they are similar to one another. They're the same shape, but they're different size. This is an example of similar triangles. Notice how that's different than this flashcard. Do you see the difference? For this flashcard, they're exactly the same shape, exactly the same size. We say that they are congruent. Congruent means the same shape and the same size. Now, I have the next card, this one. This is an example of what we call a polygon. A polygon. Poly, P-O-L-Y, means many. What is many, or how many is many? Well, 3 or more at least. A polygon is a shape with 3 or more sides. And if we were to count these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it definitely has more than 3 sides. This is an example of a polygon. A polygon has many shapes, many sizes, many angles, and many lines to it. A polygon. What is this? Now, you probably know this from what? Kindergarten, preschool. We know this as a triangle. But why do we call it a triangle? Well, triangle is made up of 2 words. We've got tri, the prefix, T-R-I. It means 3. 1, 2, 3. This triangle has 3 sides. It also has 3 angles. 1, 2, 3. A triangle. Okay, 3. I'm going to put this up here. Thanks, Mom, for lending me your triangles today. The next shape we're going to talk about is this one. This is called you might be tempted to say rectangle, but it's not a rectangle. It actually has to do with one of the words that we learned yesterday, and that is the word parallel. Do you remember what parallel means? Parallel means it has two lines that will never cross. Now, they could go up and down, or they could go side to side. This is a parallelogram because the top and the bottom are parallel to each other, and the left and the right, both sides are parallel to each other. So we're going to call this a parallelogram. Parallelogram. And I have a parallelogram to show you today. Here's one. This is parallel to this, and this side to that side. This is an example of a parallelogram. Okay. Now the next one, we know this one, right? This is called a rectangle, but what makes it a rectangle? Well, in order for it to be a rectangle, it has to have 4 sides. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And do you see that hidden word angle in there? There we go. It has to have 4 angles, okay? Remember, an angle is where 2 rays come together. We got an angle here, an angle there, there, and there, 4 angles. Also, each angle, 1, 2, 3, 4, each angle must be a right angle. That means it must be straight up and straight across, a right angle. It can't be way stretched out or squished in, even a little bit. It has to be straight up and straight down. This is a rectangle. And I have one from Mom. This is her rectangle. That's a Mississippi rectangle. Okay. Our next shape to share with you today is the square. The square. Now, the square is actually a parallelogram because it has the top and the bottom are parallel and both sides are parallel. Could I also say it's a quadrilateral? Sure could. A quadrilateral is a shape that has 4 sides. Quad means 4. This is a square. For it to be a square, the sides have to be exactly the same length going all the way around. So if I were to measure the bottom, that should be the same as both sides and the top. That's what makes a square. And I have a Mississippi square right here. There's a square. I wonder what our next geometric shape is going to be. How about this one? I'm going to show you the word first. Now, keep in mind this one, a square. Now, imagine a square that's been hit by a bus. Oh no, a square that's been backed into by a bus. We're going to call this a rhombus. A rhombus looks very similar to a square. But remember that bus that I was telling you about? Well, when it backed into it, it kind of tilted the whole shape just a little bit. Now, the sides are still the same length, okay? That's very important. A rhombus, the top and the bottom, the side and the side are exactly the same length. It's just tilted just a little bit. And here's a rhombus. It's a square that's been tilted over just a little bit, as if it's been hit by a bus. A rhombus. The next one is one of my favorites. One of my favorites. I think because I like the name. Trapezoid. Trapezoid. Now, to have a trapezoid, you're going to have 2 sides that are parallel, just 2. The other 2 sides are not parallel. If we were to continue this line and this line, they would make a trap. They would actually run into each other. But these two lines will never run into each other because they are parallel, okay? If you have two sides that are parallel and two sides that are not parallel, you have a trapezoid. And here's a trapezoid right there. Man, my board is filling up. All right, I don't have a shape for this one, but I will show you the flashcard. The word is pentagon. Now, we as Americans, there's a very important building called the Pentagon that many of our leaders go, and they go there and plan and they protect our country. And the reason why that building is called the Pentagon is because it is the shape of a pentagon. Well, what is a pentagon? A pentagon is a shape that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. Pentagons always have 5 sides. 5 sides. A pentagon will never have more than 5, and it will never have less than 5. Pentagon, 5 sides. The next one. Hexagon, hexagon. Now, do you see that little X right there? That X is a memory hook to me to remind me of how many sides and how many angles this next object has. Can you think of a number that is spelled with the letter X? If you said 6, good job for you. A hexagon is a shape that has 6 sides and 6 angles. This is a big one. You ready? Wow, almost took up my whole screen. A hexagon. It's a hexagon because it has 6 sides and 6 angles. Okay, the next one. Heptagon, heptagon. A heptagon is an object that has 7 sides and 7 angles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is a heptagon. Next, this one always makes me think of an animal. The octagon. Can you think of what animal reminds me of octagon? If you were thinking octopus, good job. Octopus and octagon have something in common. They both have 8 of something. The octopus has 8 tentacles, and the octagon has 8 sides and 8 angles. Remember, the angles are when you have 2 rays that are coming together, okay, and they're sharing that same vertex there. This is an example of an octagon. An octagon has 8 sides and 8 angles. You heard me say this word earlier, just with that last one, and that was the word vertex. Do you remember what a vertex is? A vertex is the point that 2 rays share. This is a vertex, this is a vertex, and so are those. This has 4 vertexes, okay? All right. And our last thing I want to show you today is look at where this arrow is pointing. This is called a diagonal. A diagonal. Now think when we cancel, when we use cancellation and fractions, we cross cancel. Don't we look diagonally? We look from numerator to denominator, side to side, to see if we can cancel. A diagonal line runs from one vertex to the opposite vertex on the other side, or from here to there, okay? All right, let's see how much you've learned today, and let's practice some together. Oh, go ahead and open up your book if you haven't already to our page for today. Number 1 says, mark under the shapes that are simple closed figures. Remember, a simple closed figure does not have any point of intersection. There are no lines that cross over. If it is a simple closed figure, color it in. Go ahead and pause the video at this time and complete section 1. At this time, section 1 should be completed. As I reveal, if you see my favorite color, you've answered correctly. Okay, all right, here we go. For the first one, yes, that is a simple closed figure. There are no openings in that shape. It's all made up of lines that connect together without crossing one another. How about for this next one? No, this one is not going to be a simple closed figure because do you see where the two triangles come together? It's almost like you could just keep on tracing all the way down and you could go right into the next triangle. That's a line of intersection. So that is not a simple closed figure. How about the third one? Technically, yes, because there was no spot where two lines crossed over. How about for the circle? Sure. For the next one. No, it actually has an intersecting spot right there where the two ovals come together and they cross, they touch there. That would be a spot of intersecting. How about for the last one, this octagon? Remember, an octagon looks like a stop sign. Yes, this is another example of a simple closed figure. Earlier, I talked about the words similar and congruent. Similar and congruent. Remember, similar means they are the same shape, but the size is different. Congruent means the same shape, the same size. For section 2, write similar or congruent on the lines. Go ahead and pause the video and press play when you're finished. Let's check section 2. Letter A, look at the two blue squares. Are they similar or are they congruent? They are congruent. They are congruent because they are the exact same shape and the exact same size. Letter B, they are similar. They are the same shape, but the size is different. One is much larger than the other one, or we could say one is much smaller than the other one. Letter C, they are congruent. Now your eyes might have played a little trick on you, but if we were to take that triangle and fold it over the other triangle, we would find that they are a perfect match. The exact same shape, the exact same size. They've just been mirrored a little bit. They're congruent though. And for the last one, they're similar. They have the same shape. They're both triangles, but their sizes are different. Let's go to the top of the next page. For geometry, when we're talking about different shapes, many times they have different numbers of sides. For section 3, I would like for you to write the number of sides that each of these polygons have. Go ahead and pause the video at this time and press play when you're finished. Let's check section 3 together. A pentagon has how many sides? 5. Pent, 5. Letter B, quadrilateral. Quad means 4. Heptagon, heptagon, hept, 7. Triangle, 3. Think about a tricycle. A tricycle has 3 wheels. A triangle has 3 angles, and it also has 3 sides. Letter E, octagon, 8. Oct, 8. Trapezoid. You might have to think on this one, but remember, a trapezoid has 4 sides. 2 of the sides are parallel, 2 of the sides are not parallel. Let's look at section 4 together. Section 4 says, use a ruler to draw a diagonal between X and Z. The first thing that we have to do is locate X and Z, and I've located them here for you, X and Z. There's one. Whoop, I colored right over it, didn't I? Well, there's X. We know where it is now. We've got X and we've got Z. All you have to do is draw a straight line connecting them. If you do not have a ruler handy, not a problem. You can just use the straight edge of a piece of paper. Letter B, label each vertex using any 4 distinct letters. Notice how it says for the answers, letters vary. That means you can pick whatever letters you want. Let's see, I'm gonna go with, because I love geometry. There we go, L-O-V-E. You can choose whichever letters you would like. Just make sure you don't put 2 E's or 2 L's. I was gonna use Emma's name, but that has 2 N's. Then I thought, oh, I'll use Abby's name, but Abby has 2 B's. So make sure each point or each vertex has its own letter, okay? All right. Let's move on to the geometric figures for section 5. I would like for you to go ahead and try section 5 on your own and name the picture or the figure that you see. Please begin. Let's see how you did for section 5. Let me go ahead and share my screen one more time. For section 5, you are writing the answer for each geometric shape. Let's look at that green one together, letter A. Notice how many sides it has. Go ahead and count them. 1, 2, 3. Something that has 3 sides and 3 angles is called a triangle. Let's look at letter B. I'm going to talk a little bit about those little lines that you see in just a moment. Letter B, how many sides does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4. It has 4 sides. The little lines mean that all of the sides are congruent. That means they're the same shape and the same size. And to me, that makes sense because those little lines look like equal signs. So I think that all of the sides are equal. That means they're all congruent. They're all the same shape. They're all the same size. If we have a 4-sided geometric shape and all of the sides are the same shape and the same size, they're all parallel to each other, and it's been tilted just a little bit, we say that that's a rhombus. Remember, it's a square that's been hit by a bus. Letter C. This also has 4 sides. The top 2 are parallel to each other. The left and the right are parallel to each other. Notice the little symbol that they put in each of the corners or in each of the angles. That little white box that you see is actually making a little L. And that is our symbol to show that that little angle is a 90-degree angle. We just call that a right angle. If we have this shape with 4 sides, 4 right angles, but notice how the 2 sides are different lengths. Well, the top and the bottom are the same, but the sides are a little shorter. We call that a rectangle. Letter D. What did you put for that one? This is a parallelogram. The reason why it's a parallelogram is because the top and the bottom are parallel to each other and the left and the right are parallel to each other. Another name that you could have put for this one would have been a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides. Letter E, yes, technically letter E could be a quadrilateral also. It has 4 sides, but notice how 2 of the sides, the top and the bottom, are parallel to each other, but the left and the right are not parallel. If those lines were to continue, watch to see what happens. If they were to continue going down and going this way, they would eventually intersect. They would cross. They would form, dare I say, a trap. So letter E is a trapezoid, For letter F, we see those equal signs again. Remember, those equal signs mean that side is congruent to the other side. It has 4 sides, 4 angles, and all 4 of the angles are right angles, meaning they're a perfect square. And letter F is just that. It's a square. Thumbs up if you answered all correctly. You can give me a thumbs up even if you put a different answer for D. Maybe you put quadrilateral or perhaps even a polygon for that one. Let's move on to our last section that we're going to do together, section 6. Write true or false in each blank. Letter A, the 2 diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. Do you believe that that is true or false? That is true. If we were to go up to section 5, letter C, and if I were to draw, let me go back. If I were to draw a diagonal, it's not a very pretty one, here and there, they should be the same shape and the same size, but of course I'm doing this with technology, so that's never a good thing. But the diagonals should be equal. Letter B, a square and a circle can be congruent. Let's think about what the word congruent means. Congruent means they're the same shape and the same size. Is a square and a circle, are they the same shape? Absolutely not. So that would be a false statement. Letter C, a line segment has a definite beginning and a definite ending. True, it has a starting point and an ending point. A ray has a definite beginning and ending. This is false. A ray does have a starting point, remember the little point, but it goes on and on and on in one direction. Letter E, straight lines intersect at only one point. That is true. If they were to intersect again, then the line wouldn't have been straight. It would have been a crooked line. Letter F, a hexagon is a 5-sided polygon. Well, I shared with you a memory hook for this one. When you hear the word hexagon, think about that letter X. What number is spelled with an X inside? 6, not 5. So that's a false statement. A rhombus is a parallelogram having 4 congruent sides. True or false? That is true. And lastly, a triangle has 3 sides and 3 vertexes. What does tri mean? Tri means 3. That is a true statement. We have gone over so many things today, 4th graders. I would like to draw your attention to the top of the previous page, that yellow box up at the top. It's going to go over all of the different flashcards and shapes that I've shared with you today, and it will also give a definition for every single one of those shapes. At this time, I'd like for you to begin the review section on the back of your page. Do as much as you can on your own, and I can't wait to see how well you did in our next FaceTime call. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.